None of them voted for default whatsoever. Now, the biggest fighter in the group is Senator Bernie Sanders. He is the independent pit bull from Vermont. And that's about as good a compliment as I can give this guy, because I know we've got a seat at the table now. There's nobody else I'd rather have sitting across from Paul Ryan during this entire fight. Senator Sanders has fought tirelessly for working men and women in this country. And make no mistake, he will fight for Americans in the upcoming negotiations. And you know what? He's doing it right now. He's doing his homework right now. This week, Senator Sanders is touring southern states on a fact-finding mission. I guess you could call it opposition research. Senator Sanders video conferenced with a group in Mississippi on Wednesday night. He spoke in Birmingham, Alabama on Thursday. He met with people in Atlanta, Georgia this morning. And he's currently in South Carolina preparing for an event tonight. You could call it Bernie's Southern strategy. Now, in my view, in my world, what I think, this is what United States senators are supposed to do, to go out and find out in these states, which are very, very red, how do you feel about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid? Because that's where the fight's going to be. They're going to go after the entitlements, the earned benefit programs. So for Senator Sanders to do this, why aren't others doing it? This is important. He's on that Budget Reconciliation Committee, and he is going down into the belly of the beast, into Republican territory, to find out what the folks really think. Because the biggest voting bloc in this country are independent voters. Yeah, there's a bunch of them down south, too, but they just always lean conservative. So tell me, what is the conservative position on Medicare? What is the conservative position on the stability of Social Security? What is the conservative position on Obamacare? We are a changing society, the way people think and the way they think about money right now, in goods and services and things that are provided by the government. And oh, by the way, we are the government. One more thing about this whole budget fight. Simpson Bowles. I'm sure they're good guys. I've never interviewed them. They've been around government a long time, served at a number of different levels. But I've read most of the Simpson Bowles report, and I can tell you that this is no blueprint for the future of America. I would say to the Democrats, throw that sucker right in the trash can and start over. Don't even pay any attention to Simpson Bowles. That's not where the country is. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think. Tonight's question: is it time for Democrats to go back to a 50-state strategy? Go around the country, go around to every state and make a play. Text A for yes, text B for no to 67622. You can always go to our blog at ed.msnbc.com. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. Let's bring in the man we're talking about, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, who is joining us from Columbia, South Carolina tonight. Senator, great to have you with us. You have been...
Great to be with you.
You bet. You're doing your homework, and I appreciate it, because you got to go down there and push the flesh and find out what these people are saying on the wake of this shutdown and the money that we've lost at $24 billion and the priorities set forward. Senator, what are you hearing down south?
You got a lot of great people. I've been meeting with trade unionists, independents, progressive Democrats, and they are tired of being abandoned by the National Democratic Party. They want some help, and they believe that with some help, they can start winning in these conservative states. And what they are saying very clearly is that in Mississippi, in Alabama, in Georgia, South Carolina, people are hurting. These are low-income states. And what concerns me is that you have many white working-class people who are voting against their own best interests. These are guys getting hung up on gay marriage issues. They're getting hung up on abortion issues. And it is time we started focusing on the economic issues that bring us together. Defending Social Security, defending Medicare, making sure that Medicaid is not cut, that veterans programs are not cut. And I honestly believe that we can win states in the South, because you got a lot of folks here who are hurting terribly. These are people who are working for low wages. They don't have any health care. They can't afford to send their kids to college. And I think if we start pounding away at the economic message, our willingness to take on the big money interest, to take on Wall Street, to create the millions of jobs we need, to raise the minimum wage, to make college affordable, you know what? I think we can win in these southern states.
Senator, there are 9 of these Republicans on the Budget Committee who are going to be going to conference committee who voted for default. How are you going to work with them? I mean, they were ready to allow the United States government, our country, to default on its debt. And these guys, these people are going to be on the Budget Committee. How tough a fight is this going to be?
Well, the way you work with them is you make the case that maybe, just maybe, they might want to be listening to what ordinary Americans are saying in overwhelming numbers and not listening to the Koch brothers and other billionaires. And Ed, what the American people are saying is very, very clear. They are saying in poll after poll, do not cut Social Security. Do not cut Medicare. Do not cut Medicaid. What they are saying is, in fact, the most important issue facing the American people is not the deficit, which is important, but not the most important. The most important issue is the need to create millions of jobs so we deal with this frightfully high unemployment that we're seeing. The most important issue also is raising the minimum wage so we don't have millions of working people not surviving, really falling under, because they're making $7.50, $8, $9 an hour. And if we deal with the deficit, then the way to deal with it is you've just indicated. Take a hard look at defense spending. We are now spending almost as much as the entire world combined. Begin asking the 1 out of 4. We have now 1 out of 4 major corporations not paying a nickel in federal income taxes. I think we have to take a hard look at that as well. So there are ways to do the deficit that is fair. We've got to create jobs, and we have got to protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. That is what, by the way, not just what Bernie Sanders wants. That is exactly what the American people want.
That is what the American people want, and it's exactly what the Republicans are going to go after. They've paid no attention to polls in the past. They're all about an ideology of how they think government should be run. Paul Ryan, of course, excuse me, is right at the heart of all of this. I mean, we could be headed right back for round 2 of another government shutdown. I mean, do you really think that the Republicans are going to be honest brokers and negotiate to strengthen these programs without cutting on benefits?
Well, I think we've got to make them an offer they can't afford not to take. And that is if they once again, look, they got burned very, very badly in their willingness to shut down the government.
American taxpayers got burned.
Our bills.
Yeah.
The American taxpayers got burned, but their brand name of republicanism has gone way, way down. They're now worried. They are now worried whether they're going to retain control over the House. And I think their hopes of winning the Senate have been significantly diminished. Our job is simply to raise consciousness on the issue, to let the American people know what's going on. And if they, in the midst of all of the opposition to cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, if they want to move in that direction, we've got to rally the American people as loudly and clearly as we can. If they go in that direction, I think, Ed, they can lose the House, and they surely are not going to gain control over the Senate. But our job is to organize and educate the American people to put pressure on them.
All right, Senator
Bernie. And if we do that, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape.
All right, Senator Bernie Sanders is going to be an interesting year, no question about it. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate you doing that Southern tour. I think it's desperately needed. Messaging is the big key. A lot of people vote against their own best interests in the South. Remember to answer tonight.